The nation's young people now lack basic knowledge about civics, about our government, and our political system. A new study finding that only 1 in 4 Oklahoma public high school students know the name of the first president of the United States. 1 in 4. And it's not just Oklahoma. There are serious concerns that students all across America lack even a basic understanding of how our government works. Inez Ferre with our report.
They're questions every foreigner becoming a U.S. citizen must know. How many justices are on the Supreme Court? Who was the first president of the United States? A recent survey shows only 23% of Oklahoma public high school students correctly answered George Washington. Even fewer knew there are 9 Supreme Court justices. Brandon Dutcher of the conservative Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs commissioned the telephone survey of 1,000 students.
The citizenship exam has a first try passing rate of 92%. Sadly, our high school students only passed at the rate of 2.8%. So that was actually kind of a punch in the gut.
On a national level, students don't fare well either. The latest national civics scores show that about a quarter of 12th graders have a proficient knowledge of civics. That's remained relatively constant over the last 10 years. The lack of civics literacy extends into college and adulthood. Another national survey shows that fewer than half of all Americans can name all 3 branches of the government. Groups that emphasize teaching civics in schools are outraged.
Our nation is premised on informed participation. That is the central aspect of a democratic republic.
What's at stake is, when you go into that voting booth, can you cast an informed vote? Well, you can't cast an informed vote if you have no idea what the institutions that you're voting for stand for.
The Oklahoma Department of Education questions the credibility of the recent survey because it was done by phone, telling CNN, quote, "We conduct state testing and the questions are much more difficult. The pass rate is 68 to 70% in all 4 of the state's social studies exams." And civic literacy in the U.S. shouldn't be too surprising, given that today only 29 states require high school students to take a course in government or civics. That's according to the National Alliance for Civic Education. And Lou, what some of these groups are saying is that if we're going to require new citizens to know this stuff, then the folks that grow up here should also know this.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to say it. If we're going to require new immigrants into the country, new citizens to know it, I think that's right. Because it seems to me there are only 2 possible outcomes here. Either we improve the education of our young people, which means we have to improve the education of the teachers teaching them and require some participation, or we simply bring in more immigrants into this country who absolutely honor the history and the political system that they are joining as citizens, an honor that apparently 3/4 of the students in this country don't provide. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And that's a terrible story.